Welcome to CBS This Morning. Everybody okay at home? Because we are coming to you from our homes to yours out of an abundance of caution. You know, of course, we will continue to bring you the news throughout the coronavirus crisis no matter what. And that, of course, is where we begin, because we have a lot of developing news overnight, including 2 cruise ships off the coast of Florida carrying hundreds of sick passengers. We'll get into that in just a moment. But first, some very sobering numbers for you. More than 1,000 people died from the virus yesterday in the U.S. in one day, bringing the total above 5,100 people. More than 216,000 cases are now being reported.
Yeah, and surveying all of that, Vice President Mike Pence says we're on pace to match hard-hit Italy, and a growing number of Americans seem to appreciate that. A CBS News poll out this morning shows about half of Americans, 51% of us, believe the outbreak will get worse in the next month. Only 28% think it will get better. David Begnaud is in New York City, which has the largest number of victims by far. David, good morning. You're near that remarkable field hospital in Central Park, an otherwise desolate Central Park. And the city apparently has new guidance for emergency responders. What can you tell us?
They do, Tony. Good morning. Because of our proximity to the tents where COVID patients are being treated, I'm wearing a mask, and so is our crew. This is just as a precaution. There are new rules because paramedics who are responding to the scene where someone is in cardiac arrest are at risk. There's a concern that patients in cardiac arrest may have coronavirus but just may not have been diagnosed. And since you can't diagnose on the scene, EMS workers in New York City have been given a directive. If you arrive at the scene and a patient does not have a heartbeat, if you can't generate a heartbeat with CPR and restart the heart somehow, some way, do not transport that patient to a local hospital for your own safety and for the safety of the hospital staff.
In the span of 72 hours here in New York State, the number of coronavirus deaths more than doubled. The governor closed the playgrounds.
Who else has to die for you to understand you have a responsibility in this?
Listen to how a nurse in Brooklyn describes her ICU.
The turnover, someone passes away, all right, get the room clean, next person in immediately. I mean, there's patients sitting in the ER on ventilators waiting to come up. So there's really just no break.
She gets one protective mask, and she has to use it all week. We're also learning the national stockpile of personal protective equipment is nearly empty.
Difficult days are ahead for our nation. We're going to have a couple of weeks, starting pretty much now, but especially a few days from now, that are going to be horrific.
Currently, New York City has fewer than 400 ICU beds available, out of a total of more than 2,500. Our cameras captured the first patient arriving at this Central Park field hospital. With 68 beds, it's funded by the charity Samaritan's Purse.
Doctor, did you bring your own staff?
Yes, we did. These are doctors and professionals that are coming in from the outside to come here and to provide additional care and additional services to the people.
In nearby Connecticut, the governor announced what he called a tragic milestone.
Probably the youngest person ever to die of COVID has died here in Connecticut. That baby was less than 7 weeks old.
Another 5 states, Nevada, Florida, Pennsylvania, Mississippi, and Georgia, all issued stay-at-home orders. That brings the total to 37 nationwide. In New Jersey, a 33-year-old firefighter died.
Israel was a great father, person, husband, son.
Israel Tolentino leaves behind a wife and 2 young children.
Back here in New York City at Central Park, it is surreal to see this field hospital set up in the park and some people biking as they do every day in the park to exercise. There are 68 beds. There's only about a half dozen patients who are here right now. But Samaritan's Purse sent its own staff, as you just heard in the story. And Anthony, they're doing all of this free of charge here in New York City. And they have another field hospital set up on the front lines in Italy.
Yeah, it sure is surreal, David. Thank you very much.